Evening, and thanks very much for your time. Before we talk about what you have done or are doing, how was it even possible to have this large-scale fraud in the first place?
It was a systematic failure.
Which means what exactly?
Which means that if you are in an environment that has controls weakness, those that knows about the weakness could take advantage of it. In the program of LRAD, officials or the applicants which were beneficiaries could gather themselves and do an application for the government to assist them to acquire land on which they would work. So officials would then create fictitious beneficiaries and set up a company and transfer the land to themselves. So it was a weakness that was identified, and when it was identified, the program was, number one, it was stopped, and number two, it was then promulgated for these investigations that went on.
How senior were these people who were involved?
They were mostly project officers, mostly. There were no really official senior officials. It was project officers that could go out and mobilize the beneficiaries or the communities to set up companies or cooperatives.
At what level are they in the bureaucracy?
Very low, usually level 8, level 10. So there's no senior management involved.
But then, was it not the job of senior management to scrutinize these projects and ventures?
To be honest,
in which case, the finger would then point at senior management as well as people who didn't do their job.
I'm not 200% certain because it's a long time ago. We stopped it in 2010. It was a long time ago, and it happened between 2001 and 2010 when it was stopped. So the processes then were quite different because when it was discovered, new processes were brought into place, committees were set up where now the assessment is no longer done by one person or just officials. You've got now senior managers that comes into a committee and do the assessment and then do approvals after proper verifications have been done.
So why then are we, this is 2019, and we're talking about something you're saying stopped in 2010. Yes. What has been happening over the past 9 years?
We know that investigations take place. These are many.
9 years?
Yes. The first dismissals happened in 2013 because we've got about 8 officials that were dismissed. And a number of them have left, and a number of them belongs to other departments, your agriculture departments. So yes, it took long. If you look at the process of discipline in government, sometimes it takes too long, more especially where you're talking about fraud and corruption.
Why though? Why is that?
Because of the legislation. You've got to follow certain processes. It's not like in private work you can just wake up and say, pack up and leave. You've got certain processes that are regulated by your Public Service Act and the regulations. So it takes long. Those that we fired, then they take us through the process of appeal. And over the years, the last one that is now serving 10 years in jail was only convicted last year.
If that is the problem, and then people like you get to then answer questions, about what, from where we are sitting, a job you are not doing. Why aren't you doing something that will ensure that processes, go much quicker and people are put in jail or get fired sooner before they do even more damage? Why isn't that a priority?
Yes. No, it's actually a priority. Remember, if I find that you have done a misconduct or you have committed fraud and corruption, I stop you there and then. Then the continuation doesn't happen. The only problem is to prosecute that process is quite long. because then you have, if it's an internal one, you will have an internal one. This one goes to bargaining council, they go to appeal, and because of the allocations of time that are given through the process of law, it takes longer. But at least the erosion would have been stopped. The only problem is the process of discipline is longer than it would have been.
I mean, the land issue is a big issue right now, and one would imagine that this would have set back our land reform process, would have set it back. Are you still dealing with the consequences of what actually happened in those years, even now?
No, because what we then did, we introduced strategic land acquisition strategy. When our government acquires, hold the land and rather lease it on a long-term lease, so that whoever is leasing is able to approach the financial institution to go get funding in case where government is unable. So that issue of funding and people get land and then they sell it back to the previous owner, we have stopped that. The current strategy, it's working.
As the department, what are you busy with right now?
We still have all the other programs, the new program of land acquisition and leasing, the program of land development support. We do infrastructure in rural development, in rural areas. We do enterprise and industrial development. We also do the national planning, the planning, spatial land use planning, and we also do the surveying is within us, the deeds registrations. When you want to buy property or transfer your property, we do that.
Okay, that's what we're going to leave. Thanks very much for
You're welcome.
your time.